Hi guys, so in this day 2 of our trip around Canberra, you can hear the birds squawking in the background there, but we're currently in Commonwealth Avenue Park, and for today we're going to be exploring the area around Commonwealth Avenue Park, which is right on the edge of the city. For those of you who've visited Floriade before, that's where it's held, but we're going to be exploring the history of Canberra that predates the politicians, the government, and even Canberra becoming the capital of Australia. So let's get started on this amazing day out. Thanks for joining Kevin the caravan, Dougie the dog, and myself as we travel around Australia. We love sharing our travel adventures, the great silo art, the great pub meals, and the great free camping, and much more. Hi guys, so here we are at Blundell's Cottage in Canberra now. We're actually going to be exploring inside shortly, but the cottage was built in 1858 by George Campbell. I'm not 100% sure what his relationship is to Robert Campbell from Duntroon Estate, but this was all part of Duntroon farmhouse during the time. Now it was built as a ploughman's cottage for William Ginn at the time, so it well and truly predates the starting of Canberra, the capital of Australia. So we're going to go inside now and have an explore around. It's puff the pan. It's not that hot. It isn't that hot here. Dougie! There, Dougie. Hello, darling. There's Dougie. Rally grass. Are you rally grass, Dougie? Everyone's looking at you. Yes, they are. And then they're looking at the Korean in the background, Dougie. Are you there? There, Dougie. Heading to the lake. We are. Is that a light Dougie boy? It is. Something in the water. Over there, see? So it's a bit of our walk to our next destination, so I'm going to stop the camera here and we're going to teleport forward to our next stop. So this is another interesting historical site, guys, and it did take a bit of finding, so I have no idea what we're getting into here at the historic Duntroon Dairy, but we'll go up and check it out. So this is the entrance to the dairy. Track 2. Robert Campbell. Now Robert Campbell is an interesting character. So he owned Duntroon before Canberra was even Canberra. Anyway, this is really interesting. So we've got the feeding area over here. So they must have had the dairy cows in here and fed them using different elements. So this is the main dairy area from 1832 to 1904. The oldest building in Canberra, built about 1832. Soon after Robert Campbell settled, he built the stone dairy house. And interesting history. So Canberra before Canberra was Canberra. I always enjoy that kind of history. Everyone sees Canberra as the capital with Parliament House and the parliamentarians, but there was a lot more to Canberra a long time before Parliament House was even built. Anyway, let's head over to the main dairy cottage. Well guys, we're now standing outside the oldest building in Canberra, built in 1832. This is the Duntroon Dairy. Here we are at the main dairy, the cottage, the history of it. So this is a really fascinating site, the many lives of one dairy. What I didn't realise, guys, was that the dairy was still operational right up until 2004. So there you go. I know it's going to be shut up today because they only have it open on special occasions, so we're only going to be able to have a walk around the outside, but it'll still be worth seeing this amazing historic building. You guys can look up on the internet of when it's actually open to for their tours and stuff like that, but it certainly isn't going to be today. The restoration of the oldest surviving building So what does the sign tell us about it? It's really interesting. Now, we'll go for a quick walk around the outside of the dairy. We might take the stairs up from here. So it's a bit of a walk to our next destination, so I'm going to stop the camera here. But it's definitely got that English, old English style to it that you would see in different parts of England. So while we walk around the dairy, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about Robert Campbell and how Duntroon came to be. So he had a ship, he was based in Sydney, he did a lot of merchant stuff, and the ship was seconded by the government and it was lost in a storm, and he was compensated. And he was compensated with the land here in Canberra and sheep. And a guy by the name of James Ainslie actually was the first overseer of the farm. He came down, picked the land and started the farm. head on and let's explore some more interesting places around Canberra. A bit more history. So this really is a hidden gem of historical significance. And it's part of the Lake Burley Griffin circuit if you're on the bike and on the East Loop, okay, which can take about 2 kilometres to ride around. But we're going to explore this amazing historical site. Okay, so this is history under our feet at the banks of the Molonglo River. A lot of the riding here has sort of got muddy and it's not really clear to read, but we'll go through and we'll show you around this amazing site. Now, if you're wondering why Dougie's not here, there's signs everywhere that say no dogs allowed. So Dougie's chilling out while we explore this really amazing site. And there's clearly a QR code down the bottom there, so we'll give that a try and see what happens. Okay, so the QR code on the sign turned out to be a fake thing trying to sell us something. So we're just going to have a look around here and do it via the signs. Here we go, we're coming up to our first sign, which looks really interesting about them preparing for war. Well, see, this is something interesting that I didn't realise, that this is from the First World War, not the Second World War. And so this would have actually been a training ground that was part of this Duntroon school that was previously Duntroon Farm, that was owned by Robert Campbell and the Campbell family, who really were the founders of the Canberra region prior to it becoming the capital of Australia. It really is a nice place to walk around here. There's lots of birds. You can stop and grab a seat on all these natural things, and you can see here, I can imagine them digging holes all over this place, but it's a really interesting piece of history that most people don't even know it's actually here. Okay, so this looks really, really interesting. It talks about what lies beneath here now as we look out in the paddock, and the trenches, how they enter the trenches, understanding all the different trenches. So I'll just step over this way and you can see where they would have dug all the trenches, and we'll be heading across there in a minute to have a closer look at this whole site. When you think about this mock warfare that we did here, it's really quite scary when you think about these people that went off to fight and all they did was dig a hole to conceal themselves. Rats in the trenches, all sorts of things. It says here, imagine yourself in the frontline trenches. Me personally, I would not want to imagine myself there. For those that have parents and grandparents and great-grandparents like I did who fought in the First and Second World War, this really opens your mind to how bad it was. Let's go and have a look down these mock trenches to get a sense and a feeling for what it was like for the guys fighting on the front in the First World War. So this was the height of them. They had these little benches where they could sit and all this type of stuff. Oh my God. So it's a rabbit warren down here. It really is, as we wander around in different directions. Now you imagine climbing up from here just to shoot. Oh my God. So you can see here in the mock versions that they've actually put in these little holes, so which is where your gun would protrude out. I can tell you now I'm not overly tall, right, but I'm fairly confident that I would not like to have been walking in these trenches. Oh my goodness. So this bit here, which I can't show you terribly well, you'll have to come and see it, is how they used to crawl between the trenches, completely buried under the ground. Alright, so we're coming out of this part now, and we're going to head around through the gate and have a look at the other side. But you can see the places here along the track as we go along where you can see how it's not the same because it's been dug out, and we've got a lot of grasses grown back and those types of things over the time, but it does give you a bit of an idea. The second line fire trench would have run along here. What makes you think about this was you crawl between the two trenches, you would have had your resting trench and then the trench that everyone was shooting and, oh, I hate to use this term, but actually working in. So at this point we have the line of fire trench and the exit trench. And I'm going to head off this way because I think that that's going to be where we exit if we were actually in the trench walk. Let's go check it out. Oh my goodness. So this is the machine gun trap. So you would sit in here obviously and shoot your machine guns. So I'm going to leave the rest of this amazing site, which I've barely shown you the tip of the iceberg of all this interesting history, for you guys to come down and see. And we're going to go and explore another hidden gem in Canberra that most people don't know about. Okay, so we're now at John the Baptist churchyard, guys, which is literally on the edge of the city. And it's really amazing when you look at the old photos of it, and it's hard to believe that this church and the churchyard, and just over here, so just over here guys, is the city, like literally Canberra. Just up here is the War Memorial, and all this area is all surrounded now by houses, so it's right in the city. We'll be going in and checking out the schoolhouse a little bit later, but I'll just move the camera back a bit more so you guys can have a better look at the history behind it, and then we're going to head inside. Apart from the wind, it's actually quite pleasant day today, guys. So Dougie's outside and we're going to head in so I can show you the beautiful glasswork. How amazing is this? Absolutely stunning. I want to tell you guys a little bit more about the Limestone Plains Trail that we're on and about Robert Campbell. So as I mentioned before, Joshua Moore and Robert Campbell were known as absentee owners, but many settlers that arrived in the area in the 1830s, as well as squatters and bushrangers, quickly went beyond the local limits and discovered more of the area. The first resident landholders on the plains was John and Helen McPherson. Their property is Springbank, and it was so close to the Blundell River that it's now an island on Lake Burley Griffin, which is pretty amazing. And the McPhersons are actually here in the graveyard at St. John's. This is the area for the different family members, but interestingly enough, Robert Campbell, who started Duntroon and started the area around Canberra and built the church, is actually not here. So guys, I always wondered why it was that Robert Campbell wasn't buried here with the rest of his family, and it turns out because the church wasn't built and the graveyard wasn't built, so they happened afterwards, which is why the beautiful window I just showed you actually is dedicated to him. So wow, so this is interesting about the original graveyard and the original heritage here in Canberra, and that's interesting. So it's consecrated on the Limestone Plains. Wow. We're going to go and check this out because this apparently is quite significant. So we're going to go and check out that grave of Sarah and George Webb, if we can find it here in the graveyard. This is a gravestone that everybody talks about. For here have we no something city, but seek one is coming. So basically this gravestone is suggesting in 1845 and 1848 that a city, which is the city of Canberra, was going to be coming here. Now if you look over there, you can see all the apartment blocks, and this is part of the major city now. And that's all. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed this view around the beautiful St. John's Church in Reid that was built by the Campbell family, and checking out the cemetery and all the history here. And we're going to head on out to check out some more historical sites as we continue the Limestone Plains, Canberra. So we couldn't go into the the Baptist schoolhouse as it wasn't open today, sadly guys. So you guys will have to go out and check it out when you're in Canberra next and explore around it. Apparently it's open on Saturday afternoons and Wednesday mornings. But the church is open daily, so you can come here 7 days a week. So here we are at the top of Mount Ainslie, which would have also been part of the Duntroon farm and would have been named after James Ainslie. So we're climbing up the hill to the top of Mount Ainslie. There's Dougie. So as we head up the top of Mount Ainslie, the view up here is amazing. Just check that out. So that's Black Mountain Tower over there. So how amazing is this view on track 2? But we're going to head back to the car. No, I didn't walk up the hill, but you can. And we're going to drive back down to the bottom. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I wanted to finish up with a short walk along Anzac Parade. Australia and New Zealand, 1916 to 1918. Let's go up the stairs, Dougie. One is the Korean War here from the 1950s. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Stay tuned to the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.